In this episode of the Primer, we talk about how Jammu and Kashmir stood at the crossroads of empire and intrigue.
Ranbir Singh and the Great Game. How Jammu and Kashmir stood at the crossroads of empire and intrigue. By the middle of the 19th century, the high mountains of Asia were no longer remote. Empires were closing in from every direction. The British from the south, the Russians from the north, and the Qing and Tibetan authorities from the east. It was in this shifting and often tense landscape that Maharaja Ranbir Singh of Jammu and Kashmir ruled, from 1856 to 1885. His reign coincided with the height of what came to be known as the Great Game, the geopolitical rivalry between Britain and Russia for influence in Central Asia. For the Dogra ruler, the Great Game was not an abstraction of empires, but a daily administrative reality. His northern territories, Gilgit, Baltistan, Hunza and Ladakh, bordered or faced regions that were becoming active zones of imperial competition. The passes through these mountains were ancient trade routes connecting India with Kashgar, Yarkand and Tibet. By the 1860s, these same routes had become corridors for spies, surveyors and merchants, each carrying both goods and intelligence. Ranbir Singh understood the delicate geography he had inherited. His father Gulab Singh had extended Dogra control deep into the Trans-Himalayan frontier, but holding these regions was another matter. The terrain was vast, the communications slow, and local chiefs, particularly in Hunza and Nagar, were only loosely bound to the Srinagar court. The Maharaja sought to strengthen these connections through local garrisons, appointed governors, and tribute arrangements, while avoiding overt confrontation that could invite British interference. British, for their part, viewed Jammu and Kashmir as a buffer state between India and the expanding Russian sphere in Central Asia. They pressed the Maharaja to improve roads, support British trade missions, and allow European explorers through his territory. Figures such as Robert Shaw, George Hayward, and T.D. Forsyth crossed the Karakoram with Dogra assistance, missions that served both scientific and strategic ends. Ranbir Singh cooperated but cautiously. He allowed passage, provided escorts, yet kept the frontier under his own flag. As Russian expansion reached the Pamirs in the 1870s, British anxiety grew. The Gilgit frontier became a particular concern. Ranbir Singh reinforced Dogra presence there by sending colonel commanders and small detachments, ensuring continued assertion of sovereignty. The British repeatedly suggested stationing their own officers in Gilgit, but the Maharaja resisted, a quiet act of political skill that preserved his state's autonomy. Only after his death in 1885 did the British finally secure a Gilgit agency, effectively marking the end of direct Dogra control in that region. Throughout his reign, Ranbir Singh's approach to the Great Game was defined by prudence and restraint. He recognized the limits of his state's power, but used geography, diplomacy, and administrative presence to remain relevant in an era dominated by empires. While others in the region were swallowed by colonial expansion, Jammu and Kashmir under Ranbir Singh survived as a distinct political entity, a Himalayan kingdom navigating the rival ambitions of the world's greatest powers.
Thanks for watching this episode of Primer on Jammu and Kashmir. Here is a quick note from the editors of the Dispatch. While dealing with historical events, we are conscious of the fact that history has no single view. In places like Jammu and Kashmir, this can be more complicated. While explaining the events of history through this primer, we are taking the best possible care to be objective and to offer context wherever views differ starkly. We welcome you to write to us and enrich the knowledge base on Jammu and Kashmir.